Hey, everybody, welcome to Making Connections. This is your girl, Aly. I hope everybody is having an amazing day. We know that we are still sending up prayers for those who have been in the path of Ian, especially in the Florida area and, heading up through the Charleston and, inland more. But just praying that everybody, is able to recover soon. They get the help and support that they need. So just continue to pray. I know there's still going to be a lot of rain and things going on, they said, through Saturday. So this evening, so you guys be careful. If there's too much water on the road, turn around and go back, right? And
Around the ground.
that's it. That's it. I don't like, I like to swim, but I don't like to swim in that kind of water. Because did you see in Florida that people, they couldn't tell if it was a shark or alligator swimming in front of their yard? Oh my gosh.
I
That was
did not see that, but I wouldn't go in that water.
exactly. So, you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys know we're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. And today we're going to go ahead and jump into this interview. We have an amazing Stephanie, and I should Hasselrig. Did I say it
Castle Rigger, you nailed it on the first try. I'm so impressed.
right? Thank
My
you.
husband and his family and ancestors would be delighted.
Yay! Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. And because this is your first time being with the family, I just want to give you opportunity to introduce yourself, and then we're going to jump into all the amazing things you have going on.
All right. Thank you so much for having me today, Aly, with Making Connections with Aly. I'm new to the family, as you stated. I am Stephanie Gathings Hasselrig. So it's a good thing I didn't throw in another odd throw
Right.
you off. But I am from Rock Hill. I am married to Michael Hasselrig, and we have 7 children. And I've lived in Rock Hill all of my adult life and most of my life. We moved back to Rock Hill from New York when I was about 6 months old. So I say I am from here, although technically I wasn't born here, but I'm from here. I'm a
Right.
good Southern girl. Um, and let's see, what else can I tell you? I'm currently a full-time realtor. I've been doing real estate for about 6 years now. Prior to that, I spent most of my professional career in the accounting world, primarily government accounting. So
Mhm.
I have worked for the Internal Revenue Service. I've worked for the city of Rock Hill in the finance department. And my last finance experience was actually with Rock Hill School Districts as their accounting manager. So I have a long history in finance. I have my degree in accounting from the University of South Carolina, the Darla Moore School of Business. And I guess that's pretty much all the good stuff. But what we're going to be talking about today is the fact that I have thrown my hat in the ring to run for Rock Hill School District's Board of Trustees.
Yes, yes. So definitely we are going to talk about that. But so how long did you say you've been a realtor?
For 6 years now.
6 years. Okay, awesome. So when you started doing that, because a lot of times, people in our audience, they're entrepreneurs or, they want to start nonprofits and things like that. So we always, through the conversation, I think whatever we're talking about can encourage somebody along the way. So when you jumped into that industry, what was that like for you?
So I jumped into real estate. The only time I was not in government accounting was for a couple of years. I did mortgages for Wells Fargo. And the reason that I got into mortgages because my sister and her husband at the time, they had actually started a real estate brokerage in Greenville, South Carolina, and they were doing amazingly well. But I'd always been in numbers all my life, but I wanted a piece of what they were doing. And
Right.
so my sister said to me, "You don't want to drive people around in your car." And so me being the little sister, I believed everything she told me. And I said, "You're right. I don't want to drive people around in my car and look at houses all day." So I at the time I was actually with Clinton Junior College as the finance director. And I left that job to do mortgages and ended up at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. And I thought that was sort of my way into real estate.
Right.
So I did that. It was a little more security in going that route. And then what happened? 2008, the mortgage world crashed. And so I got down on my knees and prayed. I said, Lord, if you will give me another job in accounting, in finance, I will take this little degree that you gave me, because he gave it to me.
Right.
I studied a little bit, but the Lord provided the rest of it. I thought, I'll take this degree and I will go back to finance. So the opportunity opened up with Rock Hill School District. So I left the world of mortgages and went to work for Rock Hill School District. The market started turning around, and I honestly always loved doing the mortgages. I loved helping people, and that was something that it helped me discover that, oh my gosh, I feel a part of their journey in helping them
Yeah.
with affording that American dream of home ownership.
Mhm.
So I always wanted to go back to it, but at that point, I felt like, God, my sister was making so much more money than me on the real estate side than on the mortgage side. So I decided to go back and get my real estate license. And I did do that. And I started out doing it part time and just absolutely loved it. It was a good time to be in the market at that point. And I just really enjoy helping people, um, using real estate as a vehicle to build wealth and to find their way out of being a renter and becoming an owner. So
Mhm.
that part really appealed to me. And I was, I in a short time became very successful at it, and had the opportunity to be able to do it full time. And so I just jumped in. I talked to my husband about it, prayed about it, because I also like the security of a guaranteed paycheck.
Right.
You don't have that guarantee unless you're out there working. So,
Right.
um, but I have not regretted it. God has provided. It's been a wonderful experience, and I feel so happy about the people that I have been able to serve and help with their real estate needs.
Awesome. I love that. I definitely want to make sure we talked about that because I feel like anybody who's in like a service industry, I mean, because I could tell even what uh, James, I call him JT, but when he's talking about you, you can tell it's not just for the money. It might have been the money that, you were like, well, I can make more money, but you're in a service business. You're in the industry to help people, like you said, fulfill their goals and dreams. And that's why I love having people like you on the show because it just aligns with what we try to do here because we want to encourage people to go after it. Like you said, the market dropped for a moment. You had to find something else to do, but you came back. You didn't give up on anything. You didn't just say, "Well, I can't do this." But you're like, "Okay, well, we got to tweak things along the way because even the best laid plans don't go exactly like we want." So
That's right.
sometimes we have to, shift. But in shifting doesn't mean it's not successful. It just means we're shifting so we can continue to be successful, right?
Right. And it's a faith walk. It really is. And I wouldn't take anything from my journey. The jobs, the positions that I've held, even though I really love what I do now and I believe it is my purpose, and I honestly love it more than any other job I've had before. I still appreciate all those previous experiences,
Right.
because all those government positions, the mortgage positions, they all help prepare me and grow me for what I'm doing right now so that I can better serve my clients. And one of the things that I learned about myself along the way that I honestly did not know, besides having that passion for helping people, is that I'm an educator. And one of my good friends, Latasha Brown, told me that um, Latasha, I'm not Latasha Brown Booth. She was Latasha Boozer when we were growing up. So I have to get back to her name now. She's Latasha Byard or Beard. But anyway, she is a fantastic friend, and we've been together since, just like JT and I, since Sunday school at New Mount Olivet and Zion Church. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
But I'm older than the two of them, but I've learned from both of them. And she said to me one day, "You are such an educator." And I said, "Oh my gosh, no, I'm not. I could never be in anyone's classroom. I don't think I have the patience for that." And she has said it to me so many times over the years. And I finally came to understand why she had that view of me. And someone else said the same thing to me and they agreed. And I thought, wow, they must be onto something. So I just thought I had a servant's heart. But she pointed out to me that whenever I have sent someone to you or I've come to you, you don't just say, go do this or give me the answer. You tell me why. You always talk to me about why. When I'm doing mortgages, I explain the product and why I felt like this product was the best fit for you, because there are multiple options out there. When my husband and I started a foundation when our kids were in high school, to help prepare students, FAFSAs, the financial aid form to
Mhm.
get tuition and other scholarship money to go to school. We started a foundation to help prepare those FAFSAs. And it was just really out of the love of our heart. And we saw students that didn't have anyone, parents that didn't know how to prepare those FAFSAs. And some people were even paying to have those things prepared.
Oh,
And
wow.
we just felt like that's not how it should be. It's to get free financial aid. So why would you have to pay for that service? So we began
Right.
holding workshops and forums through the schools, through Northwestern High School, Rock Hill High School, to just help parents prepare their FAFSAs, and we call them FAFSA nights. Um, and the same thing is true with real estate. I offer, in the past, I've offered first-time homebuyer workshops to educate buyers so that you're not just jumping out there. For example, every free or every 100% financing mortgage is not free. People think that, oh, I get 100% financing, that they don't have to bring anything to the table. And that's just kind of a misrepresentation. So
Right.
I have, going to thank Latasha. I do have an educator's heart as well as a servant's heart, just to be out to help people.
Awesome. And so, I mean, that is beautiful because people need a lot of help. And a lot of times people don't know, like you said, where to go. And I agree with you. I have known people who paid to have these forms done because they're just like kind of confused, didn't know what to do, didn't want to make a mistake on them and then miss out on funding. So,
The forms are so intimidating.
mm-hmm. And so, and then there's even, children who, didn't get raised in a what we call a normal parent to child ratio. Maybe they were in foster care or something like that. And so they were very intimidated by what to do with those forms and things like that. So people always need a leg up. And so I appreciate you, being who you are. I appreciate you noticing that there was a need and stepping in to fulfill that need, which is why I probably believe you are running for the Rock Hill School Board District Board of Trustees, right?
That's correct. That
So
is
let's
correct.
talk about that.
So again, I feel there's a need. I've been sitting on the sidelines watching what's going on in our school system, and I just felt like it's time for a change. I feel like my primary concerns, and I'm gonna put on my readers because I made notes,
You're good.
but so that I don't miss anything. But one of the big factors that was concerning to me, among many, and there are many,
Mm,
would be that Rock Hill School District has sort of slipped in the ranks. We, in a number of areas, we used to be the largest school district of the 4 York County school districts, and those 4 school districts are York, um, Fort Mill, Clover, and Rock Hill. And we used to be the largest in terms of enrollment. Now we are no longer the largest. Fort Mill has exceeded our enrollment. We're somewhere around 16,300 students, I believe, at this point. And in addition to enrollment decreasing, we're also dropping on the rankings chart, so to speak, in terms of where we rank as compared to other school districts academically and overall. Fort
mm,
Mill is ranked number one, and not only in York County, but in all of the state. And for me as a realtor, that is constantly being pointed out to me by people who are moving to the Carolinas from other parts of the country. Because most people who are moving have families, they have children, so they want to be in what they perceive to be a good school district. Whether the rankings are fair, accurate, or not, Fort Mill is ranked number one. So everybody that wants to come to the Carolinas, they want to cross the border in South Carolina because the taxes are lower and they may be working in Charlotte. However, they want to be in Fort Mill because their school district is ranked number one. So I'm constantly having this conversation with newcomers to our area. So I feel like Rock Hill School District is going in the wrong direction in so many ways. And that was what really attracted me to say, hey, I want to get in there and help make a difference. And in addition to us decreasing in enrollment, our budget is increasing. So there, but budgets increase, and that's not all terrible. But you have to ask yourself, why is our student population decreasing when Rock Hill, the city of Rock Hill's population is increasing? And yet we have fewer students, but we need more money to take care of those students. So currently this year, according to the budget on Rock Hill School District's website, they added a couple new positions. I think they added 3 new positions at the district offices, either 2 or 3. They also added more teachers, more support staff. And I think all of us are probably okay with adding more teachers, because if we have fewer students but more teachers, well, that just improves our teacher to student ratio, which is a good thing because teachers can give more time to each child. Not sure why we need more positions in the district office, again, when our population is shrinking, when we are dropping down the leaderboard in terms of our ranking in school districts in South Carolina. So all of those are things that made me think, as one of the songs used to go, things that make you go,
Right, right.
why is this happening? Why is the population, why is our student population shrinking? And
Yeah.
one of the things that occurred to me is that the difference between when I was in school and now is that parents have choices. So if the school district doesn't function in a way that parents feel is accepting for their needs, for their students, they have choices. When I was in school, the choices were private school. So if you didn't come from a family that could afford private school, that wasn't an option for you. But
Mhm.
now there are the charter schools and there's homeschooling. People may have homeschooled in the past, but it was such a small number of people. Now homeschooling is a huge movement. So again, I've heard so many parents that I've talked to along the campaign trail say to me, well, if they don't do this, if they don't straighten this out, I'm just going to take my child out and I'm going to homeschool them. Or I
Mhm.
homeschooled them last year or during COVID, and I should have stuck with that. So many parents are looking at other options. And when parents take their children out of Rock Hill School, then that means fewer dollars come to Rock Hill School, because the state basically compensates the school based upon the number of students that are in the school. So that's less money in the budget that we keep increasing. So, that's just one of the big ticket items that was concerning to me. I was also concerned by the fact that they closed 3 elementary schools during a pandemic. I
Mm.
just felt like communication has got to be better. Many people didn't know that those schools were going to close. We displaced those children, and now we have a problem with schools that were functioning okay, because now they're overcrowded because we put all those children into the remaining schools.
Right.
Parents are not happy about that. And parents want to be engaged. They want to know what's going on, and not a couple of days before you've already decided it. I just feel like communication needs to be better, not only with parents and students, but the community. The community needs to be involved that the decisions the school board is making. The community needs to be a part of those, because if we had better relationships between government agencies, the county council, the city council, the school board, and other partners and stakeholders in the community, it would make such a dramatic difference in our education, which then drives our economy. So all of
Wow.
those are just some of the many reasons. I mean, I could really go on, but I don't. I'm gonna let you have that and ask me a few questions.
No, but I mean, even like you said, the closing down of 3 schools, that is major. I mean, the children are adjusting, the teachers are having to adjust, like you said, and then the parents, you know, you could have been able to drop your kid off down the street, but now you have to go 20 minutes out of your way. And sometimes people think, well, that's just 20 minutes. But depending on the time of day and things like that, and what time you have to be at work, 20 minutes is 20 minutes. But like you said, if the communication had been there, then the parents can start, preparing, or at least, get some understanding. Why are we closing these 3 schools?
Right, and I
Before we
think if
close them,
I think if
yeah.
parents had been given the opportunity to at least hear in advance why this is even a consideration, then maybe you could have gotten a little more buy-in. I personally feel like you weren't going to get buy-in on this period during a pandemic. We had so many other problems to be concerned about because it was a
Right.
pandemic. I just believe that this decision could have been made a little further down the road. Not to
Right.
say that it was totally a bad thing. Maybe we should have considered phasing it in a school a year or something like that. But to
Right.
make such a dramatic decision and displace so many students during a pandemic, and then the very next year turn around and move those students again because we're overcrowding, is really just insensitive to the needs of those students. They have had to, some students have had to adjust. Now they've been to, possibly three schools, or I guess one, two,
Yes.
three schools in 3 years. That's just unreasonable. Their school got closed down one year, the next year they were at another school, and the next year they may have been at another school.
Right.
I just think that's inconsiderate of the students and the families. And I just believe that had there been more communication, you may have gotten parents to buy in.
Right. Right. And like you said, just a different approach. Maybe, like you said, phase them in. But then, too, again, why are we closing the schools? Is this something that we could have fixed? So you just don't know if you're not a part of that conversation. And so that's why I always tell people, be engaged. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world, but be engaged in the things where you need to be, concerning your family, your health, your education, things like that, because people will, I mean, even going to the doctor, okay, he's been to school, he'll give you a prognosis or diagnosis, but you know your body, so you have to be engaged in the conversations with the doctor. So definitely, this is a community thing because our children go to these communities, our grandparents went to these schools, so it's definitely a community thing, and so it should always be community engagement. And
Right.
so,
And then, another thing that was disturbing to me at one of the school board meetings, I heard it said, well, this was the decision of the previous superintendent, which maybe it was his recommendation, but it certainly wasn't his decision. The board had to vote on it. And now poor Dr.
mhm,
Smalley has come into this situation with all this chaos, and it's been laid at his feet, along with a host of other things, school safety and everything else, that he gets to try to unravel and solve the problem. And I hope that he will engage the community more.
right. And I like one of your hashtags. It says, correct me if I'm wrong, but accountability in education, right?
Absolutely. Accountability in education is so important. I mean, we vote and put these leaders in position, and they should be held accountable. As I said, the board voted to close those three schools, and now the problem has to be fixed.
Right.
The board has voted to, add on these positions, and we are, as I said, academic achievement is not where we would like for it to be. So at some point, the board has to be held accountable for the choices they've made, and I think we can
Mhm.
hold them accountable on November 8th at the poll. If you agree with the decisions that they are making, then absolutely go vote to return all those people. But if you don't, and you have any concerns, one, you should be reaching out to them. Two, you should be reaching out to your superintendent. And three, and most importantly, you should be voting your convictions on November 8th. I'm
Yes.
not telling you that everybody should support me or agree with me, because I think we all have different opinions. But
Right.
if you don't agree with the decisions that are being made, you certainly have an obligation to hold those people accountable. And I believe the best place to hold them accountable is at the poll.
Is at the polls. That is right. Voting is on November 8th. And that's the thing about it. That's why, I engage in these conversations, because maybe somebody's heard your name and they're just like, okay, well, she's running for board of trustees, but I don't know who she is. I don't know what she's about. So I think these conversations are good to have so people know who Stephanie is. They understand Stephanie's heart. They understand that Stephanie is not just wanting to be seen, because I mean, you already have great things going on. You're a successful realtor. You have, it's not to be seen, but it's to be helpful. It's because you have an eye that maybe some people don't have because of the positions you've held in the past. and all the positions you've held in the past absolutely make you, um, not the word worthy, but help me with the word.
Girl, I am 55. The word won't come to me as quickly as it will
You're
you.
right. But you're worthy to step in the office because the things you know, and because, like I said, the things you see and the things you know where there's help needed, you
I
can do
believe
that.
I'm
You can
qualified. If you
qualify. That's the word I'm looking
there
for.
you go. Look at
She is qualified to sit at this table to represent the families in Rock Hill.
that.
And
Absolutely.
that's what we need. We need people who are qualified. We need people who are not afraid to use their voice. We need people who will, because you saying what you're hearing from the teachers and the staff or the parents, you can bring that to the board because maybe they won't get to be in these community meetings. Maybe they're not going to be able to sit at that table. But you can engage with people like Stephanie who will hold the office and definitely sit there for you to make sure your concerns are heard, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is absolutely my goal. As you said, a lot of people are saying, well, she's not a parent. Well, first of all, I am a parent. As I said, I have 7 students. They are not in Rock Hill School District at this time. They've all graduated. Hallelujah. I have one more in college, but
Yes,
I graduated from Rock Hill Schools. I graduated from Northwestern. So I am still connected. I'm down the street from Northwestern. I'm still connected to the schools. No, I don't have a child in the schools at this time, but I have family members with children in the school.
right,
I still support the schools. I still attend events at the schools. So no, maybe I don't have a parent, I don't have a child right now in the schools. I'm still very engaged and connected to the schools. And I would submit to you, there's a parent on the board right now, and we are still in this situation. I believe that at
right,
some point, your business sense has to kick in. And I think anyone would say, you know, fewer students and larger budgets at some point, and adding positions at some point is not a good business choice. And that doesn't
right.
require you to have a child to figure out the basic mathematics of that equation.
Exactly. And see, even too, like I said, people are not, they don't know that the budget has been increased. They're not doing their due diligence to see, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that we miss because we don't ask the questions. We don't, like you said, even with the school closing and the board, okay, you're elected officials, we have questions, can you answer them? you
Right.
know and that's their due diligence to do.
It's absolutely their responsibility to do. I believe that the board should be taking it to the streets. I think they should be holding community forums in communities at times that may not be convenient for me as a board member, but are going to be convenient for the parents, that are going to
Yes,
be convenient for the
the
students,
community,
or
yes,
for the single parent. I believe that sometimes these conversations may have to be had more than once. You may have to hold a forum at this time to accommodate the person that works third shift versus this time for your regular first shift employees.
right,
I think we have to engage the community. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it other than to get parents involved. And parents, we have an obligation as well. When they are sending out these surveys, and Lord knows, I know they send out a lot of surveys, it is your responsibility to turn those in, because from what I've heard at the school board meetings, most of the times decisions are being made about things and they're getting less than 1% response on surveys that are being sent out. I think 1% is unacceptable. I
yeah,
think it means you have to go check some other places. You have to do the surveys another way. But either way, at the end of the day, it is up to the parents to tell, give their responses, tell how they feel about things that are about to happen. Now, if
right,
you are giving your responses, um, and then the board is going on and doing another thing, that's a whole different conversation. But if you are not responding to the survey, that really, makes it a little difficult for that fight. But I believe to the school board, you have an obligation to try to engage the parents.
I was I was gonna
Communicate.
say that 1%, that's unacceptable. You don't just take that and be like, oh well, people don't care. Oh no, you don't know what's happening in their lives. You don't know, okay, we're getting an extension. Let them know we've only received 1%, so we're extending this due date for this form to be returned. This questionnaire, like you said, um, give them to the bus drivers, go to where the parents are, go to the grocery store, put it on. I mean, you
We
have
got
to
to
do
think
something.
outside
You
the
have to
box.
find a way.
Right. We've
So
got to do something different. We have got to think outside the box. I
yeah.
remember when I had children at Dutchman Creek Elementary School, and Dr. Norris Williams was there. And I remember getting something from him at least 4 different ways. The same message, but I mean, it was voicemail, text message, email. And I feel like it was one other way, but I remember calling him and saying, hey, I heard you. And he said, oh, no, 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 no. Don't let it be said that I didn't communicate with you.
Right.
We wanted to make sure we got the message. And that brings me to another topic, is retention, because Norris Williams is no longer in Rock Hill schools. We have to do something about retaining good talent. What are we
Mm,
doing about that? Teachers are in overcrowded classrooms. They're scared. There are districts that are paying better than Rock Hill school districts. There are districts that have better teacher to student ratios. My gosh, there are other careers that compensate them better and cause them less problems. We got
right.
to do something different outside the box to retain the fantastic teachers that we have in Rock Hill School District.
Yes, and the board has got to be, I mean, that is your core right there. You've got to be in contact with these teachers. You have to hear their voice. You have to hear their concerns. And I mean, I'm just saying I'm not saying it's my job, but on certain jobs I've heard people say, well, you do what you need to do because there's always three waiting in line to get your job. That's not the answer.
That is not the case either right now. I mean, we are experiencing the great resignation where people are
Yeah.
no longer feeling obligated to have a 9 to 5. They are going out here and they're starting their own business. They are working in non-traditional jobs. Teachers are in the same position. I mean, it is a thankless job, and they do have other opportunities. And so when you think about a first year teacher coming out of college, coming out with all the student loan debt that they have, and then coming into a job that I don't know what the starting teacher salary is. I'm going to guess it's in the early 40s right now. Um, but can't afford a house on that salary by yourself.
Right.
And rent is increasing. They have other opportunities. Many teachers have to work multiple jobs. So they're working as a teacher, they're doing Challenger after school, and maybe they're also working at Walmart on the weekends. That is just, it's so mind blowing. And then they're, dealing with children who are maybe not necessarily following instructions. They're not getting breaks. I heard one teacher
Yeah.
say because of the overcrowding, she was teaching in a hallway or a stairwell. Another teacher told me how afraid she was at school because of the whole gun incident. And and one teacher told me her principal said, well, let's don't talk to anybody else about that. Let's just keep it here. Teachers are afraid. They're afraid to even say anything. And that culture has to change.
And that's what I was gonna, ask you about. Even the people, taking their children out of school, the parents, is it because they don't feel their children are safe, or is that part of it?
I believe, and I can't speak on all of them, but I
Yeah.
definitely believe that school safety is one of the reason parents are taking their kids out of schools. I believe that, and again, this is just from the book of Stephanie, because I've been told that by some, but I don't think
Oh
anyone's
yeah.
done a survey to say how many left for this reason. The question would be, are we asking why they left? When they don't return the next year, is anybody following up to find out? And that's some of that responsibility of the leadership in Rock Hill schools to find out, all right, why are numbers shrinking?
Yeah.
Because if you find out why, then that can help solve the problem. I absolutely believe that across the United States, we have a problem with safety in schools. And so probably many parents are taking their children out of the schools for the reason of safety. Maybe some parents don't like the way that they are being communicated with in the schools. And so they're going somewhere to a smaller setting like the charter schools, which are popping up every day, and their enrollment is not decreasing. Ours is, but the charter schools are not. So again, parents have options between the charter schools, private school, and then just homeschooling them. There are many people that have decided, you know what, with what I'd have to pay for after school care, I'm just going to stay home and homeschool my child myself, and I can work remotely part-time doing this. That is absolutely a thing.
Right.
So again, with Rock Hill Schools, my recommendation would be find out why we are hemorrhaging students, why we are losing our student population, why is it diminishing? Same thing with the teachers and staff. When people leave, do we care enough to find out why they're leaving? I just
Right.
think that these are some simple things that could help answer some questions and maybe give us the data to be able to make some improvements in the school system.
Exactly. I mean, let's just, try to make it relatable to something else, but let's just talk about again with the doctors. I mean, you can have people come in and they say they don't feel well, but unless the doctor asks them questions, I mean, are you having headaches? Are you feeling dizzy? Is it your stomach? They could say they don't feel well, but because people have a stomach bug going around, you give them something for the stomach bug, but it's not even that. They have a infected leg. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. You're treating the wrong symptoms. You're treating the wrong thing. So you definitely communication is important.
Right. And with the board and the leadership not asking these questions, not getting involved, to me it looks like a lack of concern for the big picture of what's going on in the district. But there are no consequences, when we continue to slip, because no one's watching the throne. The media's not reporting on it. Again, fewer students, bigger budget, increased administrative positions. Hello, that should be a red light. That should absolutely be a red light to somebody, but no one's watching the throne. The leadership is not being held accountable for it. Um, People keep getting put back each year in these same positions. So I guess maybe they feel like, why should they be concerned? Or or is it just a situation where they can't see the forest for the trees? So they're so deep in the woods, they don't really see the whole
Right.
forest.
Right.
I can't say what it is, but I just believe that we can and we must do better.
Exactly. I mean, okay, so it's three elementary schools today. You know, there's two down the line, two more down the line. There's a middle school. I mean, how long before there is no Rock Hill School District?
Right.
Unless we change the trajectory of where the Rock Hill School District is going, unless we
Absolutely.
can answer those questions, unless we can be engaged. Because, I mean, we all know people want to be where, I mean, even if you talk about church, a lot of times, like you said, people have families, and even when they're moving in, they're looking for a church that has like a youth group, you know? So listen, taking care of our children, taking care of our babies, that is so important. And like you said, I mean, I don't even have any biological children, but I've helped parents with so many, and I've been concerned about what happens while they're at school. Are they getting a good lunch, a balanced lunch? Is the teacher paying attention to them? What kind of homework assignments are they getting? Is it above their head? And if this child is not doing well, do we just say because they are unable to do better, they are unable to do the work? But if they're unable to do the work, we always figure out why. We figure out what we can do. We give them a tutor. There's along the lines when I was growing up, there's things we did before we just said, you know, they just can't do the work.
Right.
No, everybody's capable, but we got to figure out how to make it, um, fit for their mindset or what they're. You don't know what's going on at home. All kinds of stuff going on right now, right? So
Absolutely.
you just have to be.
That's where the community partnership comes in as well. I mean, the after school programs, other community organizations, they can be a part in helping that child that may be struggling in school. And so a partnership between the schools and some of these community organizations might be helpful in helping bridge that gap. But again, if we're not sitting down and involving everybody in the community, we may not be able to come up with all of those out of the box solutions. If we have the same people at the table year after year thinking and saying the same things, you can't expect a different result when you're doing the same thing. Bring some
Right.
new people to the table and let's get their input, give them a chance, see what they can come up with.
And that's what I was going to ask you. So, like, if they decide to vote for Stephanie Hasselrigg on November the 8th, what are your top, maybe top three objectives, or what do you plan to just hit the ground running with?
I would say the biggest thing is to figure out why we're losing students. That's
Mm.
got to be number one. And next, we have got to improve academic achievement. We have got to engage the community, parents, students, stakeholders, to make them feel a part and everyone to feel safe and comfortable in the environment in which they're learning. Those are just
Exactly.
those are just a few of the major things that I feel like are so important. Community engagement is absolutely a number one in my book. Getting out there and holding community forums and talking to people outside of the walls of the district office or the school building, I just believe is mandatory. If we want to try some new things, think outside the box and do something different to engage our school system, move our students up the chart academically so that we are not ranked in the bottom, but we are ranked in the top. We should at least be in the top 10%. I don't understand how school districts who have less money than us and maybe even fewer students than us are doing so much better than us. We have got to address the whole school safety thing because parents and students and teachers are
Mhm.
afraid. That does not make for a good learning environment. A
Mhm.
community conversation was held in which the community was not allowed to speak. I don't even know how we call that a community conversation. They took questions in advance online, and they also took questions online, and they asked through a moderator, asked the questions that they chose to ask. I don't see that as community engagement. The times that people are allowed to speak at the school board meeting, which parents need to do a better job in participating and attending the school board meetings. But the times that parents are allowed to speak, there are very strict and rigid rules for when you may speak at a school board meeting, and you have 3 minutes, and it has to be something that's on the agenda. Those are the kind of things that keep
Yeah.
parents from being engaged. And I get it. The school board meetings are long and they have business that they need to handle. That's fine. Have community conversations outside of the school board meeting and get some feedback and allow parents to feel a part of the process.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, um, again, I'm not talking about my job, but I've heard that you have those surveys, and we people that I heard talk about it get tired of filling them out because they feel like they haven't been heard. Okay, well, I said this. We've addressed this issue. I know my neighbor down the street addressed it, and nothing has happened about it. So again, like you're saying, okay, that might be why that 1% is coming in now, because did we address the things that have already been on the table? And
Right.
so, evidently, like you said, there's a lack. And so, but now I think when they see new people on the board and they see new faces, they hear new voices, they might come back and be like, okay, well, this is a new person. Maybe I'll go back and tell, what my fears are, what my, even my goals, because, I want the school to succeed. And this is what is happening in my community and in my circle, single moms or single dads or what have you. And I'll say it again. I'll bring it to the table again. Maybe this time things will change. So
Right.
I definitely, like you said, think it's so important to bring fresh faces and voices to the table. People who represent the masses. Um, who don't just represent a certain part of society, but we have somebody who's representing every household, every different community, every different level. So I pray that people really take the time to think about who they're going to vote for. They ask the questions of the nominees, the candidates that are running. Hey, who are you? What are you planning to do for the school? And so that's why I thought this conversation was definitely important to have, because we want the people to know who Stephanie is and why you want to run, and the difference you can see that your hands to the plow will make for the students and for the county.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if people want to get involved, Sunday at Emmett Scott, um, from 4 to 6, there will be a forum for all candidates running for all political offices in York County. So would love for folks to come out to that, as well as they can go to my website, which you've got on the screen, stephanieforstudents.com. Um, you can also email me, stephanieforstudents@gmail.com, and reach out to me on Facebook. um, I'd love to hear from you. I just believe that together we can make a difference, and I believe that voting is not just, it's not a chore, it's a privilege, it's a responsibility. And I just believe that whether the candidate you like is running or not, you have an obligation to go vote.
Right. And if the candidate you want to be there is not there, hey, ask them, okay, what's stopping you from being on this ticket? Because
Right,
I know, just like your friend told you, you have a teacher's heart. You're able to teach. You're able to show people how to do things in a different way. So, if you have somebody who you want to be on the ticket, talk to them, figure out why they're not running. But the people who are, don't just say, well, I wish Jonathan was running, or JT, but he's not on the ticket, so I'm not gonna vote. No, you have to vote anyway. Figure out who Stephanie is. Figure out who we have some other candidates coming up this month. Kawana and the different people. Okay, who are they?
right, right,
Take the time, because, like you said, it is a privilege. And I used to think my vote didn't matter, but oh yeah, it does.
right,
Because how many people sitting at home saying my vote doesn't matter? Then all of a sudden there's 25,000 people sitting at home whose votes mattered.
right, right. Absolutely. And I just believe that when you vote, that's not enough. You should then hold the people that you elected as your leadership accountable, not only in the school system, but at all levels.
Yeah.
At all levels, at the local city council, the South Carolina House of Representative, Congress, all of those people that you put in those positions, whether you voted for them or not, they are your elected officials, and you should contact them when they're not supporting what you thought they were going to support, or when they're not supporting what you believe in. And not to say that they're going to always support what you believe in, but I do believe you should let them know, hey, I don't agree with this, and I believe you should vote this way. And they may or they may not. But if they do not enough times, then that's when you should be casting your vote the next November, or maybe you should be running. We all have an obligation.
Exactly, exactly. I like that. See, maybe you should be running. She called somebody out. But I agree with you. It's so important, and just, but let me ask you this question. So let's just say, and we're not saying whether, we're not putting it in atmosphere like that, because we believe God, whatever He has for you is for you. But let's say if you don't win, are you going to stop supporting the Rock Hill School District? Are you going to stop asking questions? Are you going to stop being present?
Well, that is a fantastic question. And I don't have a crystal ball. Depends on how I feel after this election. Because right now they are beating me down. I absolutely had no idea what it was involved in running for a political office. But no, I have after the election is over, I'm going on a vacation. I can tell you that. So for a week or so, you may not be able to reach me.
I can
But
understand that.
but no, I will absolutely still be engaged. As I said, I help students fill out FAFSAs. Anytime a parent calls me that has a question, I try my best to connect them and to help them out. I will still be contacting Dr. Smallsy to say, hey, what's going on? You remember what we talked about? So he has an awesome task at his feet, and he has some very unique ideas that I hope he gets the opportunity to implement. He came to us through Fort Mill School District, which is the #1 school district in South Carolina. So I'm hoping he can implement some things to get Rock Hill where they need to be. But if he's not, Dr. Smalls, this is for you. I will be still calling you and checking in on you.
Please do, because he sounds like he's got a task ahead of him. So he needs all the prayers and support he can get.
Absolutely.
So before we go, we had a few photos of Stephanie out in the community and different things. So we want to run that little video, and then if you want to talk about any of those events before we go, but definitely want to remind everybody, if you still have questions, or if you want to read more about Stephanie, because it's hard to even, and see, that's what I'm saying. Even at the school board meetings, how can you really get across everything in 3 minutes? I mean, we've been here almost an hour, and I'm sure there's still more and deeper levels we can go to. So, but if you want to know more about Stephanie, you can go to stephanieforstudents.com, which is her website. But we're going to check out this video, and then if you want to comment on any of the pictures, you feel free.
And also information about my platform. But that went really quickly.
So that was like I said, a few pictures of Stephanie in the community, and so and the voting does take place on November 8th.
Early voting starts October 24th. Also, I want to mention.
Yeah, early. Listen, that's when I like to get out there.
I know,
standing in those lines. So you have a few days where where you can get off early, or maybe you can work it out. So
I have a 23-year-old mother that I'm the caregiver for. She's a retired educator, actually, from Rock Hill Schools. Yes. And I love early voting because it makes it so much easier to get her and my aunt out to vote. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the people that made it possible for me to be here. My mother, Betty Gathings, and my father, who's no longer with us, John Gathings. He was an administrator for Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. But my mom is still kicking and giving me a hard time. Is the reason that I have an education because it started first at home with her.
Right. And education really is important. I know we've been talking about what's going on, but education, it makes you even feel more confident in where you are, in business, being a mother, whatever. When you're educated, you know that you have options. When you educated, when you have the information, if what people are telling you is right or wrong, because you're like, well, I kind of know a little bit about that. So I think we're in error here. And it's the same thing I say about the Word of God.
Absolutely.
If you're reading the Word of God, you can stand before people who are ministering, call themselves preachers, apostle, or what have you. But if they say something that is a little bit skewed, you're like, okay, I'm gonna let him have it. But my revelation on that, or what God told me about that, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to get to?
Right, absolutely. With that education, you can go research for yourself. You don't have to take my word. You don't have to take the preacher's word. No offense to my preacher friends. But you should go do your own research. You can go know for yourself, because the information is out there right now. We have so much that's accessible to us. And there was a time that it wasn't. And so you can go find out for yourself. Don't take it from me. Go read so that you know for yourself.
And I want to throw that out. There was a time when things were not accessible to us. But now we have options. And even like you're saying with the parents and how they want to educate their students, they want to make sure that they're being raised as solid people, that they are not being, outcast. They're not being bullied. And I know that the teachers and the school board, they have a lot on them. But if you're called to this position, I believe God will give you the provision that you need
Mm-hmm.
to do the best that you can. You're not going to be able to, appease everyone, their little perks, but you're going to make sure that you're doing the best for those students to give them the ability to be able to make wise decisions, to feel confident, like you said, to do the research for themselves, to be confident when they show up to speak. So it's really a lot. It's a blessing to be a part of this process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm grateful that God has provided for me all these years, and that He brought me to this place, to this calling. Don't know whether I will win or lose, but I am confident that I will continue to do His will, whether it is in the position as a board member or whether it is just from my home and in my community. I will continue to do what I believe God has for me to do. Absolutely.
And so just want to make sure you're running for Rock Hill School Board District, Board of Trustees, and seat
Seat two. There
two.
are three seats that are up for election. One is at large, which means everybody can vote in that for that position. And then the other two seats, you have to live within that district, or within that territory for that seat to be able to vote for it. You can go to scvotes.org and get a sample ballot, which will show you whether you're in my district or not. You can go to Rock Hill School Board's page and get a map of the district, which is a fairly difficult map to read. Um, so the easiest way is to go to SC Votes. But I tell people, you know what? Just go in the polls. And if you see Stephanie on there, that one off. Every place you see Stephanie, give it a check mark.
Yes, yes,
It's just hard to
absolutely.
say whether I will be on your ballot or not.
Right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I know that, I feel like you can definitely handle the position. You are definitely qualified to sit at that table. You're definitely qualified to speak for so many. And I love the hashtag Stephanie for Students because I mean, really, even with church, I know I keep going back to that, but typically people grow their church when they have a strong youth group because a lot of times the youth bring the people in, mom, dad, and they go home and they're excited because I've seen it from Vacation Bible School. The kids go home excited. They were just coming to Vacation Bible School. They might not go to church or go somewhere else, but they're like, my kids were just so excited about what was going on here. I had to come check it out.
Absolutely.
So
Well, that's
we
that's what the school system is all about, the students. And
yeah.
I want to, before we go, I absolutely want to take the opportunity to thank you for allowing me to have this conversation with you, to let me sit at the table on Making Connections with Aly. And I want to thank JT for introducing us. Um, James Thompson, for those of you who don't know who we're referring to, thank
Yeah.
him for all the hard work he has done in helping me prepare for this.
Yes, yes, JT. Y'all know JT. He is with us every fourth Monday. He is our fourth Monday expert who gives us that inspiration and motivation to end the month well, but even slide into the next one, excited about, trying again, having another opportunity. So y'all know he's with us every fourth Monday. And if you haven't been able to experience, having him on the show, make sure you mark your calendar so you can catch him next fourth Monday. But Stephanie, you are welcome. We are excited, whenever you want to come back, you have things you want to discuss. We're here for you. We believe in what you're doing because, like I said, it's amazing. I've never had children of my own, but if you talk to other people who know me, who've seen kids with me and taking them to games and picking them up and being a chaperone, they're like, well, who's your child? I'm like, those four right there.
The best time that you just got part time.
Right.
That's
Because
what I say as a grandparent.
we get home from this event, they're going back to their parents' house and stuff. But their parents couldn't be here, but they wanted to make sure they were safe. So I stepped up to the plate. So I appreciate what you're doing. And so, again, we are making connections with Aly. We're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. And Stephanie, I want you to tell everybody again how they can follow you or reach out to you.
You can reach out to me at stephanieforstudents.com. You can reach out to me on Facebook at that same name, Stephanie for Students. Email stephanieforstudents@gmail.com. or message me, and I will certainly get back to you. And I appreciate you again, Aly, and I hope that everyone has a fantastic weekend.
Yes, thank you. Vote on November 8th, but if you don't want to vote, wait till November 8th. Early voting starts October 24th in the Rock Hill District. Go vote. Your voice matters. You are important. So you should always show up for yourself, your children, and your community. So, you guys, we got to get out of here. This has been a great conversation. I love it. And we expect to hear more from Stephanie as the days go on. And we'll find out November 8th what happens, but we're rooting for her. But until next time, as always, follow Making Connections with Aly on Facebook, Instagram. Like the page, follow us, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live with great guests like Stephanie. And so, again, we're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. And as always, until next time, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everyone. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
Dropping some